So let's get into this game. This is game 1 from Prep Test 85. Right, so I'm going to write out my 7 players first. Okay, and then we do have a 1-to-1 ratio of players to positions. Exactly one type of product will be on sale each week in a 7-week period. Right. At least 2 weeks must separate the sale on headphones and the sale on speakers. They don't tell us that headphones has to be before speakers. Okay, so those 2 weeks that separate them could be 2 weeks where headphones is first, and then we have 2 weeks, and then we have speakers, or we could have speakers, then 2 weeks, then headphones. We just have to have 2 weeks between them. Right? Printers and speakers must be on sale during consecutive weeks. So again, we don't know the order. We just know that they have to be side by side. Televisions must be on sale during either the first week or the 7th week. Okay, so this is one where I would probably write out both of those options and kind of split into 2 different scenarios here, 2 different worlds. If televisions are not on sale during the first week, then refrigerators must be on sale then. So in the second scenario here, TVs are not on sale during the first week, so refrigerators must be. So we can also write this out as conditional. So if T is not first, then R is first. If R is not first, then T is first. Okay, and essentially what that tells me is that the first position is either T or R. If T is first, I don't know where R is. So R could be in any of the other positions. If T is last, which is if it's not first, it's going to be last, then R has to be first. Okay. And the sale on lamps has to be in an earlier week than the sale on headphones. So that's just a relative position rule that tells us that L is sometime before H. So not necessarily directly before, but just an earlier week. Okay. Great, so those are our rules. I wouldn't start world splitting with this one. We just have too many players. We have a little bit of structure with this one particular rule being split, and then half of that is going to trigger rule 4. But yeah, other than that, I'm not really going to be adding any more detail. I do have a wild card. Okay, so M doesn't have any rules that mention it. Other than that, all of our players are mentioned. Okay, so let's check out question 1. It is not really typical of our usual question 1. Excuse me. Sorry. So it just deals with the last 4 sales rather than all 7. Okay, so let's give this a try, just looking at each of the rules individually and making it a process of elimination. So we're finding the rule breakers and eliminating them. Okay, rule 1, we have to have at least 2 weeks between headphones and speakers. Okay, so here's speakers, so headphones could be over there. Oh, and it's at least 2 weeks. It's a good thing that I read that. So it's not exactly 2 weeks. Okay, it's not exactly 2 weeks. It's actually at least 2 weeks. Okay, so in there, that should actually just be a minimum of 2. So it could be more than that. Okay. We just have to have a minimum of 2 between them. All right. Good thing that I caught that. That's really important. Excuse me. All right, so we're just trying to make sure that there's some room between them. So here, between speakers and headphones, we'd be able to have enough room. Here, we would be able to have enough room if speakers was over there. Again, we could have enough room. Headphones, speakers. Now, if speakers is fourth, then headphones would have to be first. The problem with that is that first place is either R or T. So here we would have to kind of combine the first and the fourth rule to be able to eliminate E. Okay. So because they don't show all 7 players in each of these, we have to think about where the other players would be. And so even though we can't see them, we have to imagine what would be possible for the other players if these 4 were at the end. Okay. Great. Next rule here, printers and speakers have to be consecutive. So here I have printers on its own. That's not allowed. Here's printers, but speakers could be on the other side. That'd be fine. Speakers, but printers could be on the other side. TVs have to be first or last. So here TVs are not last or first, so that one's out. Lamps has to be earlier than headphones. So here lamps is at the end, one of the last 4, and headphones isn't mentioned, so that would mean that headphones would be one of the first 3. So it looks like C is the correct answer. Let's actually complete this one. So we've got this at the end. I'm going to change the color of that there. It's a bit too light, hard to see. Okay, so speakers would have to be beside printers. TV's last, so that means R is first. And which player is going to have to go second? The only one left is L. So if we go through the rules again, we have a minimum of 2 between H and S. S and P are consecutive. T is last. R is first. And L is before H. Awesome. So that's an acceptable solution that we can save for our bank of acceptable solutions. Okay, and go ahead and double check with the show answer button. All right. Wouldn't it be nice if we had that on the real thing? And obviously, not everybody can get perfect, so it wouldn't really, anyways. It's not really how it would work, but yeah, sometimes it's nice to just imagine. Okay, if the 4th sale is on printers, then which one of the following must be true? So we're going to start with the information that we get in the question-specific condition. Just add that in immediately. And then we're going to go ahead and look at the rules that apply to the player or position, or both player and position, that are mentioned in that question-specific condition. So printers are in this rule here, so S has to be right next to them. So we can go ahead and split. So S can be 3rd or 5th. Okay. And then what's next? So S is connected to H, right? So S has to be beside, it has to be 2 away from H. So H could be there, that would be fine. Or we could have SPH like that. Over here, H would have to be second because we can't have H first. First place is either R or T. Okay, what else do we have going on? So L has to be before H. Ooh, L can't be first either, right? First place is either R or T. So that means that this whole scenario is not possible. And this scenario is the only one where we have S 5th, right? These two have in common that S is 3rd. So if we remove this one because it's not possible, that means that if P is fourth, S has to be third, which is B. Okay. We could go ahead and kind of try to complete both of these scenarios to add them to our bank of acceptable solutions. We actually already have an acceptable scenario where H is sixth, so maybe we would want to create a different one, one where R isn't first, maybe one where T is first, and so we could try that. So that might be a good exercise to do when you're practicing. So here, well, L is second in that one's in this one here. So let's see if we can make one where L is fifth, right? Try that out. Yeah, we can definitely make that work. We could put R second, no problem with that. And we could put M last. So now we have an acceptable solution that shows the players in a lot of other scenarios that would work, right? So it just gives us a little bit of a range. Here also we could change some things up, right? So we could have L next to last. Now T is going to have to be first because it can't be last, and it has to be one or the other, right? Those are the only positions that T can have. And then we could go ahead and put L, or no, we don't have L anymore. We could put M there, and we can put R like that. So now we've added some variety to our acceptable solutions. Okay. Next one. If the fifth sale is on headphones. All right. So let's go ahead and add that in. Okay, fifth one on headphones. Now, what's our rule to do with headphones? Well, we have to have a minimum of two between headphones and speakers. So speakers, we don't have room for it on the right side of headphones. On the left side here, we have to put speakers second because speakers can't be first. First place is either T or R. Okay. So we've got S space H. What else? So S and P have to be next to each other. P can't be first. Right? The only one that can be first, the only ones that can be first are R or T. Okay, what else do we have? Well, L has to be before H. So L is going to have to be there. And then our remaining players are T, which could be either first or last. Okay, so I could show both of those options if I wanted to. So show T last, okay, T first. If T is last, that means R has to be first. So here we would have M sixth. In this situation, we could have M last and R sixth. So why don't we try that? All right. So that's an option. What else could we have? We could have TSPLHMR. So R could be last as well. That's possible. Okay, so those are all the possibilities. If you wanted to just keep it to one solution, you could look at it like this and then recognize that the remaining players that you have to place are T, which could be either first or seventh, M and R. So M can be either 6 or 7, and R can be first, 6th, or 7th. That's another way that we could look at it. And you wouldn't necessarily have to write all of that out. You would just have to keep in mind that first place is either R or T, and yeah, that T is either first or seventh. Okay. All right, so the sale on microwaves could be earlier than what? It could be earlier than R, could be earlier than T. And the only option available is R. So it's possible for M to be earlier than R. And we have a bunch of acceptable solutions there. So again, add them to our bank of acceptable solutions. Right, if refrigerators are on sale during the first week, right, well, we already know that means that T is going to be in the last week. Right, what else do we know? Well, we don't have too much else going on. We do have two scenarios, right? Two different scenarios where that's the case. But this one is asking which of the following answer choices would create a chain reaction where the order of the sales would be completely determined, right? So the order would be completely determined if which one of the following is true. So let's try this with headphones. Headphones seems to be pretty well connected, right? We've got two rules dealing with headphones, so this is a good one to try. Headphones has to be at least 2 away from speakers. So speakers would have to be there. Speakers is there, the printer is next to it. L has to be before H. And the only player left is M. So yeah, this here is the only possible solution if R is first and H is third. So that means that if R is first, then the order of the sales is completely determined if the third sale is on headphones. That's our correct answer. So they were kind of nice to us there in that the first answer choice is correct. So you really only have to try that one. Once you see that it causes that chain reaction, then you can choose it and you can move on. You don't have to worry about the rest of them. And we have another solution for our bank. Right, moving on. If the sixth sale is on speakers, then the sale on microwaves must be later than what? So sixth sale on speakers, we actually do have an example of that, right? The sale on microwaves is later than R, L, and H. Okay, so it's later than R, L, and H. So it doesn't have to be later than printers, speakers, or televisions, right? Because we have an example where microwaves is before those ones. So the only ones that we would need to test would be headphones and refrigerators. Okay, so sixth is on speakers. Which one of these actually makes sense, right? So if 6 is speakers, headphones can't be 7th, right? Oh, wait, sorry, what did I just do? Oh, the sale on microwaves. Sorry, I got confused. The sale on microwaves has to be later than what? All right, so let's actually write this out. So this is what happens when I start trying to do things in my head. Okay, so if S is there, what options do we have? So S, so that means headphones are going to have to be here because they have to be at least 2 away. They can't be second because then there's no room for L. They can't be first, of course, because either R or T has to be first. So we're going to have this arrangement. This is going to be R or T, and we have P is going to be one of these two. So microwaves has to be later than L and H. It doesn't necessarily have to be later than refrigerators because this could be T, have M, R, R, and then P. Okay, so that's totally a possibility. We have T first. We have L before H. M is wild. R is first if T isn't, but since T is first, R is kind of wild again. S is sixth, like it has to be in the question specific condition, and S and P are next to each other. S is also at least 2 away from H. So this is a totally acceptable solution. Because this is acceptable, microwaves doesn't have to be later than refrigerators. It could be before refrigerators. Okay, so we can eliminate this as an option. Microwaves must be later than headphones though, because headphones has to be third. And the first has to be RRT, and the second would have to be L because L is before H. Okay. And I'm going to take this guy once again, move it over here. All right, so now we have a substitution question, and we're trying to find something that would be able to replace Rule 4, and we would still have the same exact acceptable solutions and restricted solutions. So it would be just as restrictive and just as permissive as the original. It would allow the same things and it would disallow the same things. So refrigerators must be on sale during the 1st or 7th week. That's actually not true. We have a few examples here where we have refrigerators on different weeks from 1st or 7th, right? So televisions have to be 1st or 7th, but refrigerators can be anywhere, actually, right? So we know that either R or T is first, but if T is first, R is totally free to be wherever. Okay, so A isn't going to have the same result. B, if refrigerators are on sale during the 1st week, then TVs must be on sale during the 7th week. Now that is true, right? This is a true statement, but the reason that it's true has a lot to do with Rule 3 and not very much to do with Rule 4. Okay, so what we see with B is if R is first, then T is 7th. If T is not 7th, then R is not first. This is true already because if T is not first, then T is 7th. If T is not 7th, then T is first. Okay, so actually this would be a better replacement for Rule 3 than for Rule 4. It really has more to do with where T has to go, I guess. And it wouldn't actually be a good replacement for Rule 3 anyways, because it makes T's position only dependent on where R is. And so if T is not 7th, it doesn't actually mean that T has to be first. So this is more something that we would be able to derive from Rule 3, but it's not very helpful to us, and it definitely does not restrict position 1 in the same way that Rule 4 does. Okay, so this just does not match what we're seeing up here. Okay, so B is out. If R is not on sale during the 7th week, okay, then televisions must be on sale then. Okay, so let's look at this one. If R not 7, then T is 7. Okay, Is that true? So if I look to my acceptable solutions, if R isn't 7th, then T is 7th. That's actually not true. I have quite a few examples where even though R isn't 7th, T is still first. So we have M 7th, H, R there, P, right? Lots of other players could be 7th if R is not. So the 7th position is not restricted the same way the first position is. Rule 4 is much more about restricting that first position than about restricting the 7th position. Okay, so we can remove that. Sorry. There we go. Okay, so let's try D. If TVs are on sale during the first week, then refrigerators cannot be 7th. That's not true either. If TVs are on sale during the first week, then refrigerators could be 7th. They don't have to be, but they definitely could be. So C and D, neither of those ones are true. And we can kind of test them based on looking at our acceptable solutions, right? So if we have an acceptable solution that proves that these things don't have to be true, then we know that if these things were true, then they would mess up what's acceptable, right? They wouldn't have the same effect on determining the order. They would actually remove some possibilities from the order of the sales. And so that's not the same effect at all. It would be too restrictive. All right, E. If TV is not on sale during the 7th week, why am I feeling like I missed something here? Oh, sorry, if they are on sale during the 7th week. There we go. I read it wrong. Yeah, so if they are on sale during the 7th week, then R must be first. If R is not first, then T is not 7th. Okay, so this one's definitely going to help. What we can see is that the necessary condition, R is first, and the sufficient condition here, R is not first, are the same. So we can match those up. So as long as T being 7th is the same as T not being first, which it is because of Rule 3, and T being first is the same as T not being 7th, then we're good. So this rule works as a replacement for Rule 4 because it relies on Rule 3 to fill in the gaps. So Rule 3 tells us that if T is not first, then T is 7th. Then E, answer choice E, steps in and says, oh, if T isn't 7th, then R is first. And so together we get if T is not first, then R is first. Okay. Then E says that if R is not first, T is not 7th. Right? And Rule 3 steps in and says if T is not 7th, then T is first. Okay. So we have Rule 3. Right? Rule 3 is still involved. Right? We're just subbing in E for Rule 4. But once we do that, we can see how we get an identical situation, identical restriction, identical conditional relationship that we had with Rule 4, right? So we're able to kind of make up that difference using Rule 3, which is still in place. Okay. So here's the correct answer. And that's it for game 1. Yeah, so let me know if you have any more specific questions from this one, if there's something you'd like me to go over in more detail. Great. Have a good one.